Don't do it. Oh, you've ruined it.
I've ruined it. It was going so well until I hit the go live button. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gridiron Reprobates live stream, coming to you live from various parts of the United Kingdom. First of all, just to say that this is a show aimed at an adult audience, and as a result, we may use coarse language and talk about adult themes. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about some football. So let me introduce my guests and co-presenters. Everyone's favourite Seahawk postman. It's Phil Knuckles. How's it going, Phil?
I'm good. We're going on strike.
What, the Seahawks or the postman?
It could be both. But I'm just, the Seahawks fandom are going on strike for a season in protest of the fact that we've got to choose between Geno Smith and Bruno.
Good stuff. And also, everyone's favourite Scottish Patriots fan, it's Aldo. How's it going?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good. My real name's Alan, by the way. I don't know if I've ever told you guys that. I've just always been Aldo. So, but yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. Good to catch up with you guys. It's been a while.
Cool. Well, before we start overreacting to week one of the preseason, there are a couple of things we need to talk about. One of them is good. One of them is not good. So let's start with the good news. The good news is that 2 weekends ago, the Great British Women's American Football Team went to Finland to play in the International World Cup and came second to the USA in a sterling effort for a program that's only been going about 8 years. So from not existing 8 years ago to second best team in the world is good going. So well done to all the women who played in that game. Well done to the coaching staff. It's a cracking effort from all involved. Well done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So with the good news out of the way, let's talk about the bad news.
We have to. I suppose we do. We can't really do a show without talking about it. Yeah.
We can't exactly. As much as
can we move on?
Distasteful though it is important because it is what am I saying? It affects lots of things, not just the Browns, but Deshaun Jackson. No, that's not right.
That would be
Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson has been suspended for 11 games and fined $5 million. 11 games is a bit of a weird length of suspension. I think everyone was expecting it to be 12 game suspension. 11's a very peculiar number. However, there it is. I think the league is trying to set some precedents here because that was one of the findings from the judge's report, was that because there was no precedence for a bigger than 6 week suspension. I think that's what they're trying to do here, but I still don't think 11 games is enough. I think a year should have been the minimum suspension length for the size of the crimes he has committed. Yeah.
And when you look at what other players have been suspended for in the past and received indefinite suspensions until they, go through treatment for whatever it was, alcohol addiction, marijuana addiction or whatever. Yeah, I get it. It seems like a bit of a given. He's shown no remorse for a start. And they're saying this thing where he needs to go through this treatment program. So why not make it conditional on some sort of assessment or good behavior? It's and 11's weirdly specific as well, as you say. That's 10 or 12. I can't remember a time a player's ever been suspended for an odd number of games. It's the whole thing is odd from start to finish. The whole disciplinary process that this has gone through.
And have you got any further thoughts, Phil?
I mean, it should have been a lot longer than just a season. It should have been indefinite based on some form of contrition or anything else, but he's shown none of that. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a thing up on NFL.com where he says he's still standing on the fact that he thinks he's innocent.
Yeah. I think he said that in a press conference, and it contrasted completely with the tone of his written statement that someone obviously wrote for him. And then you put him in front of the camera, and I give him a microphone, and he's just back to, I haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
And I think, well, for me, the most annoying or the worst taste is left the fact that the Browns took a very calculated gamble on when they gave him that contract, and it's paid off for them. They loaded the contract in such a way that he was going to receive a lot of money next year, and that he was going to receive very little money this year, so it wouldn't get affected by his upcoming suspension. And yeah, you can't deny that he's a talented quarterback, but that's not what the thing is here. And unfortunately, that's what the Browns have gambled on, is that the NFL were not going to come down hard on him. They haven't really. And they're going to have one of the better quarterbacks in the league, despite the horrendous PR.
Yeah.
So that's irritating.
Yeah.
Irritating.
The whole way the Browns have treated this from when they entered the race to sign him right through up to now, it's all been how can we get him back on the field, and not does he deserve to be on the field, and that's the whole thing that's missing from this. I mean, Jimmy Haslam's quote. Did you see that from earlier on today? I think it was from that same press conference.
Was that when he told people to calm down? That was pretty disgusting.
At one point, he just stepped in and said, the one thing you've got to remember throughout this whole thing is he's only 26 years old and he's a tremendously talented quarterback. As if that... that's a free pass or something, you know? And
we're all forgetting that very specific part of American law where if you're 26 years old and a terrific quarterback, you can get away with these things. Sorry, Jimmy, we were just glossing over.
Yeah, that is actually true.
It's one of those things that is...
if you are in your 20s and you're a rich either athlete or musician or whatever, you do tend to get away with these things.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like what's written down and what's practiced, and I think there is nothing written down saying that rich, talented quarterbacks can do as they please. But yeah, it's disappointing. The whole saga has been pretty disappointing, to be honest. The only good thing I can see coming out of it is that the judge's report was pretty scathing of how the NFL has handled this whole thing. So hopefully some good will come of that for the next time some horrendous human being does something horrendous and isn't punished appropriately for it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stake for how these athletes are treated from such a young age as basically walking deities almost. If you are this talented, if you have the wrong mindset, it can clearly go to people's heads thinking, I can do no wrong, it doesn't matter what I do.
Absolutely.
Everybody should just love me regardless, because everybody's always loved me because I'm really good at one specific thing.
Yeah.
Cool. What a great way to start the show. So, enough about... Oh, sorry, carry on.
Well, talking about leaving a bad taste in the mouth, which I'm trying to dull it away with this. So, yeah. Cheers.
Let's talk about week one of the preseason and our completely overreaction to week one of the season. From my point of view, it was nice of the Jets to, set their stall out early and cancel their season by getting their quarterback injured on a non-contact play. That's exactly what you want. You always want your guy to go down with a non-contact injury. That's definitely going to bode well. Oof. I mean, what do we think about Zach Wilson's injury and what that means for the Jets?
Why was he out there?
Yeah.
Why? You know he's your quarterback going forward for next season at least. And probably the seasons after that. Why? You don't need to see what he's going to offer you. You know your backups aren't going to offer you anything different either or anything better. Your backup is Joe Flacco. Well, why is he out there?
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, like you said, it's not as if it's a quarterback competition. It's not as if you need to see what you do. I don't know why he was out there, to be honest. But
I don't have a problem with him playing 6 snaps of football. I'm far more concerned about the nature of his injury, if I'm honest, because non-contact injuries like that are, and this is gonna sound bad, that are indicative of something else wrong with the athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's he's not taking his conditioning seriously enough, or he is doing other things that mean his conditioning is really good and better than it should be because it's chemically enhanced or something like that. That's what I have far more concern about, because if you watched how the injury was occurred, it was a complete nothing sort of an injury. He planted his leg, he pushed to go one way, fell over, ruptured his meniscus.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the concern is for me. Not that the Jets were playing their starting quarterback. I mean, that's always going to be an argument whether people should be playing their starters in preseason games. It's much of a muchness to me. Injuries happen. It's a physical sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think that may be a factor in it is obviously he's put on muscle weight over the summer, and this is probably his first time going at 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And where his joints may not have caught up to the fact that he's gained this extra muscle weight, he's pushed off, and then he's just kind of gone, what?
Yeah.
No, there's too much weight there. No, what? And
yeah, exactly.
It does happen. I'm not saying that's the exact reason, obviously.
No, obviously, none of us are doctors. We're all just here speculating about what could be happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not good. it's not like he was munched and the injury is obvious because it was
because that's
a bad tackle.
That's
exactly right. Exactly, and exactly.
You change direction and something gives. That's more troubling.
Mm. Yeah,
that's not a freak accident. That's a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And what it means for the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Tobacco.
Yay! Everyone's favorite elite quarterback.
I mean, the timetable for Zach Wilson's return is 4 weeks or thereabouts, which means he could be ready for week 1. And I think actually that is, if that timetable is adhered to, that's going to prevent the Jets from wanting to bring anybody in to be better than Joe Flacco.
I can't see them. If that is the timetable, I can't see them bringing anyone else in, just because they're not going to need to. You don't need to bring in any competition for the backup places or anything else. Just let him get healthy, and hopefully your season goes the way you wanted it to go in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Jets are going to hope that he's back before the first couple of games are done. And so even if they can, because their schedule's not too bad early. Oh, no, that's not right. Josh was moaning about how bad the schedule was early on.
About something anyway.
Oh, yeah. But I don't think the schedule's brilliant for them. But if they can weather the storm for the first couple of games and get him back in, that's, I think, the Jets' preferred route back to how the season's going to pan out for them. But it could get a lot worse. I'm always worried about non-contact injuries. They always freak me out because you don't know. Yeah, I think we've already discussed what the potential causes are, and it's if I was a Jets fan, I'd be worried, really worried. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
There we go.
Did any of you guys watch the Jets Eagles game? Well, I watched the first half, and generally that's what I tend to do with preseason is watch the first half, and then especially if it's not a team, if it's not my team, then I'm just tuning it out. But I watched the first half of that, and the Eagles. And I know it's just the Jets, but the Eagles looked really, really good. Their running game looked sharp. Hurts looked good. He was distributing the ball well. He was running the offense well. I think you can see how they're going to approach this season. They're going to have a very play action heavy offense. They're going to get Jalen Hurts out on the move, and they're going to use the weapons they've got really effectively. And that offensive line is going to crush defenses. They look really good. And I know it's just the Jets, but the Jets defense isn't bad. Robert Sala's a good defensive coach. I think the Eagles are going to be they're definitely going to win the NFC East, and I think there can be a wild card in the playoff teams if things break right for them. They could make a deep run. So I'm really high on the Eagles coming into the season. What about you guys?
They've added in the right places to give Jalen Hurts as good a chance as possible. I'm pretty sure I said something similar in the power rankings when we did those. Is that they've added talent in the right places. They've added depth, which is why they're probably looking at the preseason game, because even their backups are probably quite good now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they could be good. Yeah, they could be a sneaky good team this year. Especially in that division, they've got every chance of making the playoffs by way of that division. And you're right, Phil. I think we were both on the Power Rankings podcast when we were talking about, Jalen Hurts going into his second full year as a starter. He showed some flashes of promise last year. He did some things really well, did some things that weren't so great as well. But so you're in that situation where, is he your guy? Is he not your guy? You're not sure. The best thing you can do is give him pieces and put the right stuff around him to give him every chance. And they've done that. They have added, as you said, talent. And the play, like you said, good point about the play calling. If you're going to, you're not Matt Nagy at the Bears with Justin Fields. You're going to get Jalen Hurts out on the move. You're going to do lots of play action. You're going to play to his strengths and give him the chance to succeed. Absolutely, it's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, I think they're good. I think they're going to be really good. What else do we like about the preseason, fellows?
George Pickens looks good.
You did look good.
Does look good.
Pressing for me because beat up on my team, but that's going to be every team this year are going to beat up on my team, so I can't really take that.
How do the Steelers keep doing this with receivers? I don't know. It's like you should. The other 31 teams in the league are wasting money on scouting receivers. They should just let the Steelers do all the scouting and go after the guys that they like.
Yeah, don't worry about which receivers. Go and steal the Steelers scouts.
Yes.
It's not just their scouts though. You've got to give credit to their receivers coaches as well, because I'm sure that there are players on the Steelers who have done well for themselves, who if they went to different situations would not have thrived. I think Chase Claypool is a fine example of that sort of a player. I'm not confident, but you can see Chase Claypool going to a worse situation than the Steelers and not doing as well as Chase Claypool has done. So I think it's not just the scouting, it's also the way that they develop their receiving talent. They do just an amazing job. It's not fair.
No. Although I will say that touchdown pass from Mason Rudolph, that was a loopy pass. The fact that George got that, probably more luck than anything else. It's just because, thank God he could outjump that one cornerback, because if that was a decent corner, that could have been an issue.
Yeah. That's a good point. If George Pickens does really well this year, then is it even more of a testament to him, because you've not got Ben Roethlisberger throwing the ball. You've got one of Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, or a rookie, and albeit Kenny Pickett looks like he could be quite good, but he's a rookie, he's raw. So you're going to need the players around about the quarterback to step up there, whichever one of those three ends up winning the job.
Yeah, he's a good tool for a rookie quarterback, because he's dependable and he can make a bad pass look half decent because he yanks it out of the corner's hands or something like that. Yeah, that helps. It helps with because quarterback, it's a lot of it's confidence. If you're confident and you throw with confidence, that throw's going to make it more often than not. Whereas if you feel awful about yourself, then you end up doing what Carson Wentz did against the Jaguars last year.
Cool. So, what do we think about the Steelers' quarterback situation? Who do you think is going to win out in that?
I think if I'm a Steel, I've got a close friend who's a Steelers fan. Haven't really asked him what he thought. Well, I know what he thinks of Mason Rudolph from seasons gone past. I think if Mitch Trubisky's not your starter, I think it's because something's not going quite right. I don't think you want to throw Kenny Pickett in there right away. I think you're hoping, Mitch Trubisky he's been up and he's down. But especially the situation he was in his last year or two in Chicago, I don't think was a good situation for a quarterback to be in. I think he's a capable bridge quarterback. I think you want him to be the guy this year, and then possibly turn it over to Kenny Pickett next year. And I think Kenny Pickett is while he's the future and while you might believe in him long term, I think he's only there in a break glass in case of emergency type situation if he sees the field this year. But I said that about Mac Jones last year, so what do I know?
What about you? What do you feel? What do you reckon about the Steelers' quarterback situation?
I think if it goes the way they want it to go, it's Mitch Trubisky starts and plays the first maybe 2/3 of the season. Maybe then he ends up having a couple of bad games. Kenny Pickett comes in and plays well. That would be like the dream scenario for the Steelers. Trubisky starts all right, starts well enough to keep Mason Rudolph away. Kenny Pickett starts learning the ropes. Trubisky has a bad couple of games. Kenny Pickett comes in and plays well. I'm not saying he lights the world on fire, but he plays well enough to know that he's dependable. Mm-hmm. That would be their dream scenario. It's whether Trubisky can be consistent enough for long enough for Kenny Pickett to not be thrown in too early.
I'm fairly convinced we're going to see all three quarterbacks start games for the Steelers this year.
I don't want to see Mason Rudolph start a game.
But we're gonna. We'll
not be watching.
We're gonna. I think we're gonna see all three at some points this season. I don't think it's going to be pretty.
Yeah.
No.
What
else do we like or not like about the preseason week one?
It was a small sample size, but Trey Lance looked good. There was a whole host of chat all through last season about, he's not ready yet. Will he be ready for season 2? But yeah, he looked pretty decent. Granted, I can't remember how many of the Green Bay starters were playing, and it might have been 2 he was playing against, but you can only beat what's in front of you, and he looked competent and confident, and yeah, there was a touchdown, 92 yards off 5 attempts. So yeah, I think positive signs there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for being able to sit a guy for the majority of his first year. If he's a little bit raw, if he's like ready-made to come in and play, that's fine. But if he's got a few bits you want to smooth the edges off and he's a bit raw, then him being able to sit for large portions of last season is probably good for him, especially sitting behind someone like Jimmy Garoppolo, who seems like a fairly nice guy, and B, he's a competent quarterback, and he's played under some other very good quarterbacks. So he's a good person to get that knowledge from. You saw something similar with Mahomes. I'm not saying that Trey Lance is going to be Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes basically sat almost his entire first season behind Alex Smith, came in, and then the second season is when he started to really show out, because he'd had that year of getting used to NFL training, NFL this, NFL that. Yeah. And I think it does help.
Yeah.
It's also going to really open up the offense for the 49ers, because he has a cannon for an arm. And the last thing that 49ers offense needs is to be even more dangerous, because they finally have a deep threat.
Oh, Simon's going to become even more intolerant.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just Trey Lance who was doing well. A lot of the second-year quarterbacks showed pretty well in the preseason. Zach Wilson notwithstanding, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence looked good. Trevor Lawrence looked very good. He looks to have a much better command of an offense that has a plan.
Yeah.
It's funny how when you get an adult in the room, they look a lot better than they did last year. He looked really good. We had who else? Second year, Kyle Trask for the Bucks looked much better than he did last year in any capacity. Davis Mills. Did Davis Mills play? I didn't actually see the Texans game, but let's assume he did and he looked good because it helps. It helps bolster my point.
Justin Fields as well.
Justin Fields. I think it's unfair. Basically, what the Bears are doing to Justin Fields is really unfair on Justin Fields. It's really difficult because to get a good assessment of what Justin Fields is like because he doesn't have anything around him. He's got Darnell Mooney, who's a decent NFL caliber receiver, and that's about it. The offensive line is terrible. The running game is terrible, and you can't really assess him properly as a quarterback. So in his preseason game, he had some good points. Other times when he was running around running for his life, hoping not to get sacked. So it's difficult to assess him, really. And I think that's going to be the Bears' season in a nutshell. Unfortunately, sorry, Dan.
That's not going to be a fun season.
Yeah.
No, it's really not.
Davis, I just looked it up. Davis Mills did play, but it was basically one series and out. So yeah.
But it was a cracking series, as we all know.
Very good.
It was superb, and we really need that to happen. So it bolsters my point.
No, good. And there was something else I was going to say there, and I got distracted by. What was it?
Trevor Lawrence, Kyle Trask.
Oh yeah, Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, again, I think a lot. Just what you said, Will, about having an adult in the room and the difference having a plan makes on offense for a quarterback. I think the situation the Jaguars were in, I know there was a lot of talk about Byron Leftwich and some other flashy, young, up-and-coming candidates for a head coach job there, but I think I really liked the hire of Doug Peterson. I thought it was exactly the right type of coach to put into that situation at this point in time after everything that happened, in terms of experienced heads, good record with obviously won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. It was really when Carson Wentz was playing at his best. I think obviously it was Peterson and Frank Reich that were running the offense there. I think it wasn't time to make a splash. It was time to steady the ship and time to get someone in there who'll just get the fundamentals in place and get people playing smart, disciplined football and throw out all the nonsense that was going on in that building from last season under Urban Meyer. So yeah, I think I like that hire from that point of view.
Yeah, I think they can't be any worse, but they're going to be I think better than we expect. I think they're going to be in the 6 to 7 win kind of bracket. And all you really want to see for the Jaguars, if you're a Jags fan, is you want to see Trevor Lawrence be the first overall pick and display that sort of talent that if you follow people like Nate Tice on Twitter, for example, he is a big Trevor Lawrence fan and will continually post breakdowns on what Trevor Lawrence does well. So hopefully we'll see more of that this year now that there is a coaching staff in Jacksonville for the first time in a year.
Yeah.
Do we have any other hot or cold takes about preseason week 1?
Not to keep it quarterback focused, but if we're going to, I think Malik Willis played pretty well overall. He looked a bit raw in places, certainly, but I saw him do some things where you're thinking, I wonder if he'll see the field this year, or if Ryan Tannehill, you kind of what you're going to get, what your ceiling is with him. If the pieces that basically that Titans team will live or die with Derrick Henry, and if the defense can keep the game close enough to give Ryan Tannehill a chance. So I wonder if it gets to a point where if they're say, I don't know, 4-6 or something, if it looks like they're not going to make the playoffs, do you and Malik is improving week on week in practice and stuff, do you throw him in there? I don't know.
I can see them doing it, but it will be, I think, once they know they're out of contention for the playoffs. Yeah. If there's a shot of them getting in the playoffs, they think they have a shot.
Oh, absolutely.
So it won't be until I don't think we'd see Malik Willis until weeks of, probably 12, 13, somewhere down that line if they've had a really rough start to the season. But apart from that, I think that they'd probably stick with Tannehill.
Yeah.
Unless it goes horribly wrong. Or it is.
For me, the concern with Malik Willis was everything he did well was with his legs. So he looked really good. As a rushing quarterback, he's clearly a supreme athlete that can succeed running the ball in the NFL, and that you can win that way. But if you even the good running quarterbacks can throw the ball a little bit, and from what I saw, you were right. He's very raw. He was missing open people, so he could turn into a really good quarterback. But if the Titans have to play him this year, I don't know. I think you're right. They won't want to do that unless it's in. We have no chance this season. Let's see what we have in the kid type effort.
Either that or a blowout when they've got like 30 points up on something.
Yeah, exactly. You're not gonna. I don't think you're going to see him this year unless they're forced into. Well, not forced into it, but either come in because
there won't be any meaningful game time.
Unless, exactly right, exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think you're right as well, Alan. Their season rides or dies on Derrick Henry's shoulders. If he's back to the player we think he can be, I think they're going to be just fine. If not, they're in trouble. Which simple as that for the Titans, I think.
Pretty much,
yeah.
Which is a worrying state because he's got metal plates and stuff in his feet now, isn't he?
Yeah, I was on the Gents podcast on Tuesday. We were talking about the Titans roster, and I looked back, and he's had nearly 1,000 carries over the last 3 seasons, which is an insane work rate. He had like 310, 390, 210 in the last 3 years, and last year he was injured as well, and he still had 210 carries. Yeah. So they are running him into the ground, and
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and he's coming into his 28th year. He's going to be 28, I think, and he's not. Derrick Henry is not like other running backs, but the precedent is not good for running backs that get that amount of work and are coming up to 30 years old.
The thing is, it's going to start showing stress-related injuries because it's going to be because he's not light on his feet. He's a big, heavy guy. He's athletic as hell, but that's a lot of weight to carry and pound through your joints, your feet, your knees, your hips. Your back is going to start to feel it. Stress injuries are no joke. I mean, the comparison I might make is someone like Yao Ming. The reason Yao Ming had to retire from the NBA so early is because of the sheer size of him ended up just ruining the bottom half of his body because of just how much weight he was carrying around. And the jumping and everything else, you end up with stress fractures in your feet. You end up with tears in your meniscus from the stress of the bones constantly just smashing into each other.
Yeah.
He cannot do it forever. He needs someone else in that backfield with him because he can probably do it and have those big explosive plays like 3 or 4 times a game for an entire season if you can rest him.
Yeah.
For a few plays as well.
Yeah.
The reason Alvin Kamara's worked so well is because he works so well as a receiver. as well.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what Derrick Henry looks like as a receiver because I've only ever seen him absolutely battering the shit out of people. But
it's not his strong point, but he's also
he
not terrible.
Sort of finesse person.
But I think the point is his usage is super high, and the precedent is he's gonna break down sooner rather than later. So
reminds me a little bit. Was it DeJounte Murray? Is that right? No, that's the NBA.
DeMarco Murray.
Yes, thank you, DeMarco Murray for the Cowboys.
Yeah,
a few years ago, where he put out like an insane season, and the next year he was just shattered.
Yeah. And when your entire offense hinges on the performance of that particular player, I think that's where, if I was a Titans fan, I'd be worried, especially after you traded AJ Brown, which I didn't understand because he's one of the better receivers in the league, and he really, really fit what they were doing there really well because he was a big physical receiver who could bully defensive backs. So you bully people in the run game, you bully people in the pass game, you're just a bully offense. Then it made so much sense with what they were doing. And then the trade is completely nonsensical to me. Yeah. But there you go.
Yeah, it's a big gamble. You're obviously hoping Treylon Burks just replaces him and slots into that role. Cheaper, younger, get more out of him on his rookie contract. But it's a huge gamble to take when you know you've got a proven real number one. Probably.
He was only 24. He's only 24. He's not like he's not very old.
Yeah.
You can tell I thought it was a brilliant idea. Anything else on the preseason, gentlemen, that we liked, didn't like, are indifferent about?
The less we see of Drew Luck playing quarterback, or the season better. Because whilst Gino is not exciting, he is at least not a car crash.
Well,
I'm sorry, Phil, but when the highlight of your quarterback play is Geno Smith, you know you're going to be in for a bad season. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why didn't they trade for Baker? I don't understand.
I wanted to. They didn't listen to me.
Didn't badger them enough.
Design my posters and advice to see what was more at this point because they didn't listen. Oh, at least would have been exciting.
Yeah, because what Baker went to the Panthers for was essentially not very much. So I'm really surprised that the Seahawks didn't go for him, or if they did, they weren't willing to match that. You don't know.
Pete Carroll is convinced that you can still win just by running over and over and over and over.
Well, you can. You can if you've got peak Derrick Henry.
Yeah, if you've got peak Derrick Henry and a quarterback who's competent and a couple of receivers just in case you want to do something different occasionally. What we've got is bad quarterbacks, 2 good receivers, and some possibly good running backs. We're not going to know until the season starts, and if they stay healthy. And we've got no offensive line.
Charles Cross looks good.
Yep, that's one person. That's not a line. He's not the Aaron Donald of offensive linemen where he can just do the entire job.
He did look good, though. I mean, he looked very good when he was playing in his preseason game. Really impressive. Still don't understand why the Seahawks picked him because it doesn't fit in with their game plan at all. He's a really good one. He's a really good pass blocker. Superb, but and then the Seahawks want to run the ball a ton, so you know.
We got the perfect lineman for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
With a pick the trade to give him away.
So, anything else? Anything else we liked? We did not like. I'd love to be able to throw this open to the chat, but there is no chat, so I won't.
Oh well.
Anything else? If you've got nothing, our erstwhile colleague Ryan, who wanted to be here but has been held in Glasgow due to train strikes, which sounds horrendous, had some thoughts. If you've got nothing else,
go for it.
So he wanted to talk, and he was quite passionately talked about what's happening with one Tom Brady and his break he is taking for the next couple of weeks. He had some, me and Ryan differ on our level of stress over this. I'm not stressed at all about Tom missing the first 2 weeks of the preseason. However, Ryan is very stressed.
Yeah.
So I'll just read some of the things he said. He said Ryan believes that the side that he was sick of Arians missing Monday to Wednesday, coming in on Thursday and scrapping half the game plan, and that he was caught because he was courted by the Dolphins. He wants that, so he's kind of done with the Bucs. And I agree with that. I think this is definitely going to be Brady's last season with the Bucs. But I don't care. It's been great.
You got a Super Bowl.
I'll do it all over again in a heartbeat. It's been fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, so he's worried that Brady is unhappy with the Bucs. That this departure of Brady is an indictment of the Bucs organization. What do you guys think? Do you guys have an opinion on Tom Brady going on a holiday right in the middle of training camp?
Yeah.
No. He's 45 years old. He can have a break. He doesn't need to be there. He's Tom fucking Brady. He doesn't need to be at training camp. He could turn up before the start of game 1 of the proper season in beach shorts, get up and still outplay whatever quarterback's in front of him, probably.
Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm taking a slightly different view on that. I think there's something fishy about it, definitely, because I mean, not that you're wrong, Phil. Absolutely, he is. He's got nothing to prove. He can probably write his own check if he wants to. But honestly, the one thing I know about Tom Brady is how ultra competitive he is, and he's not going to miss a chance to get a leg up on the opposition and be hyper prepared heading into week 1. So if he's stepping away for 2 whole weeks, I'm wondering what's going on. It could be something completely innocuous. It could be he's got a family situation he needs to deal with, and it's perfectly innocent. But yeah, the whole I'm retiring, no, I'm not. The rumours of the falling out with Bruce Arians. I think there's stuff going on behind the scenes there.
Yeah, there might well be, and I'm convinced that this is Brady's last season with the Bucs. But so what? It's been a fantastic ride. We've looked. It's the best the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have ever looked.
Oh, no doubt.
It's fine. I'm happy. I'm still happy with it.
He could be as moody as you like. He could be so upset. But you guarantee the second he steps on the field, he doesn't give a shit about any of that. He just wants to beat you. That's all he cares about. It's not even about winning, I don't think, for him. I think he's a bit like me. He just wants to beat other people and make them feel bad about themselves.
Anyway, all this 2-week break it's just him and Gronk having a big old party as he tries to convince Gronk to unretire and come back and play for the Bucs for another season. That's all this is. We'll be fine. Don't worry about it, Ryan. It's all in hand.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that is what's happening.
Ryan also wanted to. He also commented on why people. The same thing you said earlier, Phil, about why people are playing starters in the preseason. So let's talk a little. I think in the COVID season, did they shorten the preseason, or am I misremembering that?
No, they only shortened it last year when they went to 17 games.
It was shortened last year, but it's not going to be shortened this year. Or am I just going completely bonkers?
Yeah.
Google will tell me. I'm just going to Google it.
It was always 4 preseason games and 16 regular season games. So when they went to 17 regular seasons games, they lopped a preseason game off to make it 3 and 17 rather than 4 and 16. Yeah,
I'm just saying. Yeah, it is me just.
Yeah.
Not putting 2 and 2 together.
I see it's a catch-22 for me. I do get why it happens, right? And it's one of those ones. Monday morning quarterbacking, if you play a player and he gets injured, you'll always be like, oh, well, what was the point in that? Why? But then on the flip side, if you get to week 1, you haven't taken any snaps, you're not quite at game speed, you look a bit rusty, people will say, well, maybe you should have got some time to get them in better game shape, or get back into the rhythm and the routine of being on the field. It's the balance of, if you're not going to play them in preseason, how do you get those meaningful practice reps in and get them prepared in terms of what they'll be, how do you replace what they'd be missing out on, but by playing some actual football snaps. So it's a catch-22.
What do you think, Phil?
I think, yeah, you do have to get some snaps in. I think the problem is it's different with quarterbacks because they're so important and the game is so physical that you want to minimise the chance that sort of freak accident or whatever happens out on the field. You want to wrap them up in bubble wrap and keep them away from that kind of thing. That's your kind of your instinct, or should be, because of how important. And the Jets have had so long without a quarterback to sort of get behind, that you'd want to just keep him away from the field for as long as you could, so that when it comes to a meaningful game and an important one, he's healthy, he's ready to go. You don't have to worry about injury. But like you said saying that, you do want to get some reps in against competition, not just in training, because at training they're not going to hit you as hard and everything else, whereas in a game it's going to be guys who want to take your head off, and you've got to kind of get used to that again. How long was he in the game for?
6 snaps.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's not like he was in there long.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a lot. Yeah, I'd probably be a bit pissed if he'd been in like 2 whole quarters or something like that. But
no,
snaps,
he had. I think he might even have been intercepted on his very first pass of the game, and then on the second series, he took 5 more snaps, and on a 3rd and long, tried to run it in, cut awkwardly, and ruptured his knee.
Smart decision.
I think what the Rams are doing with their load management of players is very interesting. So they've done it for a while now, but they have everybody on snap counts, not just for games, but in all their training camp situations as well. So depending on the needs of the player, their age, their related injuries, and all sorts of stuff, so everybody has a set of snap counts. And so then they divvy them up where they feel those snap counts are needed more. So obviously some players are going to play a lot more in preseason because they need it. They're lower down the depth chart. You want to see them in game situations because they might do the drills perfectly well, but you want to see them play games. Some of them are the best defensive player to play this century. So you don't need to see him in the preseason. But then
you can just be the best defensive player. It's okay.
Well, I don't know. You can't argue with this century, so that's why I said it. But what they do, yeah. So everyone's on a snap count, and they also think that things like joint team practices are more important to getting their players ready than preseason games are. So they will play their starters a lot more in those situations with one-on-one drills against other teams and 11-on-11 against other teams, and then they'll see how the bottom of their roster does in the preseason games. So it's an interesting strategy they've got, and it's not doing badly for them. They still get injuries. Obviously, it's American football. Everybody gets injured, but they seem to be doing a good job of limiting the stress and strain injuries that seem to plague other teams. I'm looking at you, Chargers.
Yeah.
Solid sports science. That's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, it's taking the time to know everybody. It's taking the time to get them all in. And it's knowing your personnel, knowing their health history, knowing all this shit, and then putting it to work in a smart and sensible way.
You wonder why they won a Super Bowl when they're employing such smart and sensible schemes.
Yeah.
So, have we got anything else we'd like to talk about as we overreact to what's been happening in the preseason?
Just talking about joint practices sometimes being more meaningful than games. Have you seen the amount of fights there's been at the Patriots Panthers joint practices? A fan actually got injured today.
I don't understand that. The Panthers are such a stand-up organisation. They always never in the middle of all that kind of ruckus. Hello, Josh. By the way, hello, Josh. Nice to see you.
Sorry, Josh.
I didn't know a fan got injured though. Hope they're okay.
I think so. I think it was just a minor thing, but the fight that broke out today, the pile of players spilled over into the sideline, and I think a fan got knocked over or something. I don't know exactly what happened. I just saw the headline saying a fan got injured. It was all a bit wild.
Wonderful.
Mm.
That's just what you want to happen. Is that in Carolina or is that in Foxborough?
It's in Carolina.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, Bill wouldn't let that kind of thing happen in Foxborough.
I don't think Bill would let that kind of thing happen, if I'm honest. We haven't talked about the Patriots at all so far. You watched the Patriots preseason game, Aldo. What was it like?
It was fine. I think a lot of I'm talking rubbish. It wasn't Gillette. The game's in Foxborough, so I'm assuming the practices will be in our place. Anyway, yeah.
Take it all back, Panthers fans. I'll take it all back.
At least after that. Right. Hard to judge. I mean, not a lot of time from the starters. It was good to see some of the other players contributing. So some of the wide receivers who might be on the roster bubble, Christian Wilkerson, Trey Nixon, looked quite impressive. Tyquan Thornton, our rookie wide receiver from the second round, he scored a nice touchdown. Looked fast, looked sharp. Bailey Zapp, backup, it's obviously a battle between Brian Hoyer and Bailey Zapp to see who's going to back up Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi, Zapp or Zappy. Commentators kept calling him Zappy, and that was annoying me, even if that's the right way to pronounce it. He looked quite sharp, but he was probably going against the second or even third string. I don't know if I've really learned a lot. My biggest, as a Patriots fan, my biggest concern was at the linebacker position. I know people are talking about the wide receivers and that we should have gotten a wide receiver. Well, kind of, but I'm okay with that. Do you know we've got Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, Devontae Parker, Jacoby Myers. So they're 4 wide receivers who would be a wide receiver 2 or potentially on a lot of teams. Not the teams that are stacked like the Bucks or the Bengals or anyone like that. But they're good, serviceable wide receivers. We've got a lot of guys who can contribute, and if they're all on the field at hard time, if they're all on the field at one time and you can't double them all, some of them are going to get open, right? So I'm less concerned about that. We seem to get good play out of our cornerbacks throughout training camp so far. But I think where we got eaten alive last season in that particularly in that playoff game against the Bills with Josh Allen, was our speed in the middle of the field and linebackers who were more like the Josh is zappy. Our linebackers who were just getting lost in coverage and couldn't run with and couldn't keep up with the athletic quarterbacks. When we drafted Cole Strange in the first round, I think Nakobe Dean was on the board. There was Quay Walker ended up going to Green Bay. I thought that was a miss, but obviously we've got two young linebackers who basically redshirted last season in terms of, were either on IR or didn't play for a variety of reasons. Cameron McGraw and Raekwon McMillan. I think Bill obviously sees something in them, so that's the main thing I'll be watching out for throughout the rest of the preseason. Is are they going to give our front seven the bit of pace and speed and athleticism that I think was missing? Because Bill used to like his, your Donta Hightower, Jawan Bentley, who fair enough is younger, but he's your more old school prototypical type linebacker, big bodied, run stuffer. And I think the game's evolving to where you need your more athletic linebackers. Someone like a Darius Leonard for the Colts, for example, who's more of an athlete and kind of can do it all, more of a hybrid type player. So yeah, that's the thing for me. I wasn't overly concerned by anything I saw, and I don't know if I've really learned all that much though either, if you know what I mean.
Which have you learned exactly who's calling the plays on offense yet?
Well, no. That was one of the talking points as well. It seemed to be that it was Matt Patricia calling the plays when Hoyer was on the field, and Joe Judge was calling the plays when Bailey Zappi was on the field, which is an odd situation. I think Bill Belichick's in charge, and he's going to have oversight of everything. So yeah, again, I'm not really overly worried about that. One of the things that I'm hearing a lot about as well from the Patriots beat reporters who are observing the practice sessions day in day out is that we seem to have simplified the offense, and a lot less terminology, quicker reads, fewer things for the people to learn, so it allows us to play quicker and makes it a lot easier to grasp. And there's been depends on what day you go and watch practice. You do hear about players who were really underperforming last year, like Johnny Smith and Nelson Aguilar, making lots of catches, making nice touchdown grabs in the red zone and stuff like that. So there's been some positive buzz about that aspect of it, regardless of who's calling the plays.
Cool. Anything else you want to talk about preseason week 1?
Nothing off top yet.
No. All right. Did any of you fellas watch Hard Knocks?
Yes, watched the first 2 episodes. That's all there's been, isn't there? 2.
Yeah, I think I haven't watched the second episode yet. That's what I'm going to do after this. But I very much enjoyed the first one. I'm looking forward to continuing to watch Deuce Staley and Aaron Glenn tear strips out of each other. That was the best.
That was good.
But I don't know. I think I'm going to get bored of the head coach Dan Campbell's shtick very quickly. He just seems to bark word salad. It's very, very peculiar. He's the epitome of Will Ferrell's ice skating movie quote. Doesn't need to make sense. It's provocative. That's like Dan Campbell in a nutshell.
Going.
I'm still at that stage where I think it's inspiring and engaging, and it fires you up and makes you want to run through a wall with them. But like you said, how long will that last before it wears thin? When you're rah-rah like that can wear off quite quickly. I think with certain players or certain personalities in the locker room. So it's interesting to see. But no, I like him. The second episode, Aidan Hutchinson singing Billie Jean is not to be missed. They do the thing in the team meetings where they make the rookies stand up and sing a song, and it's quite good TV. Yeah.
I'll never when I was, admittedly not in a very elite position, but playing. That rah-rah stuff never really got me going. In fact, it kind of irritated me. And whenever the team was doing their big chants, I kind of stood off to the side and watched them. So I think he's got to be careful because there will be players like that who are not rah-rah and will tune that out. So I think if they win, it's going to be fine. But it's one of those things where if they don't win, it's gonna lose its luster very quickly. But I think it's going to be a good. I think they're finally going to have a nice season of Hard Knocks because it hasn't been very good over the last few years, in my opinion. It's beginning to be a bit formulaic, and they've finally got some characters on there who are going to drive the show. And it's mostly the assistant coaches. The assistant coaches are great.
Yeah.
Well, if we have nothing else to say, folks, I think we shall wrap up the show. Thank you to our viewers who tuned in and helped us along with our pronouncement of backup quarterback second names. Much appreciated. We will be doing Zappy. That's correct. We will be doing many live streams reacting to the previous week's NFL action. So please join us again next time we go live to chat some nonsense about American football because everybody wants to hear three blokes from the UK talk about American football. Thank you, everybody. See you all later.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.